Conference, and I wanted to discuss the issue of money in politics with David Koch. When Mitt Romney walked down the aisle toward the stage on Thursday night, among the people whose hands he shook was the conservative billionaire and major political donor, David Koch. Groups in the network of David Koch and his brother Charles intend to spend, and they have been spending, but they say something like $400 million ahead of the 2012 election. David Koch, in fact, was honored yesterday by Americans for Prosperity, a Koch-backed nonprofit that's been funding anti-Obama ads. David Koch told the news site Politico, interestingly, yesterday, that he disagrees with the Republican Party's stance on same-sex marriage and believes the United States should consider raising taxes in order to balance the budget. Well, when David Koch sat down last night as a member of the New York delegation on the convention floor, I went over to talk to him, to ask him a question. He started to answer me, but then the delegates and the security around him stood up one by one, creating a human wall between us. One of those who stood up was Ed Cox. He's chair of the Republican Party in New York, a son-in-law of President Richard Nixon. Koch and Cox have been seated side by side. So first you hear my attempt to question David Koch.
Mr. Koch, do you think unchecked concentration of wealth will undermine democracy?
I couldn't quite hear you. Sorry, I'm deaf in one ear.
We're not doing interviews this evening.
Let me ask the question again.
Thank you so much.
Let me ask the question again.
We're here to listen to the speeches.
We would help them grow.
We're not here to
try to make their companies.
Well, let me ask Mr. Cox then. Mr. Cox, do you think unchecked concentration of wealth will undermine democracy?
Things went wrong, we would not.
What we need is a country led by Mitt Romney with a vision of an opportunity society of free people and free enterprise. That's what made this country great, and that's what he's going to do, and that's his vision.
Are you concerned about, especially young people, looking at what's happening in the country where a handful of multimillionaires and billionaires are so disproportionately determining the democratic process?
That's a statement that isn't true. This country is governed by the people. That's what it's always been based on.
We need to keep this moving.
Yeah, I will. Okay, one deep, I got you. Mr. Cox answered a question. Why can't Mr. Koch answer a question? I only have one question.
And that company not only survived, it thrived. And today, Data Company is recognized as one of the best.
Yes, but we're media
disrupting the convention.
I'm not. Do you think media is disrupting the convention? I thought you welcome press coverage. You know you use the press all the time. I'm asking one question, and you answer the press's questions. I have one question. I asked Mr. Cox.
And that's great, and that individual apparently does not want to talk to you.
I don't know. He can't even see me.
This is a security issue. Because Mr. Romney's speaking in a couple hours.
Endless hours.
That's why we're here.
So we'd appreciate it.
Mitt found time to serve his church.
But this is the press. We're allowed to ask questions, and we're doing it in a dignified and respectful way.
We do need to clear this aisle, so you're going to have to move.
The time's not appropriate.
Thank you.
Basically, this happens all the time at this convention around Mr. Koch, one of the most powerful forces at this convention. When you go up to ask him a question, a group of men stand up all around him and make it impossible or protect him from the press. These are supposed to be celebrations of democracy, these conventions. There's a reason why both conventions welcome 15,000 journalists. They want to get their message out. But we are not supposed to be simply stenographers to power. We are there to ask serious questions and to follow the money. This is Democracy Now!, and we're on the floor of the Republican National Convention.